What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another Friday night. It's the Play Collar Sports Talk Show. So, as you can see, I am not joined by my usual co-host tonight. So we are not the tag team champions of International Sports Talk. But this is like a special, like my partner got injured and, we got to call in the special tag team partner to defend the belts kind of thing. So, of course, if I could pick anybody I want, I'm going to go with my man from Couch Coach Live.
What's going on, Box? How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing real good, bro. So we got some exciting stuff to talk about tonight, man. We're gonna talk about the NBA playoffs. And I gotta tell you, these series have been way more competitive than I thought they was gonna be.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you think about it, it's really like how you really envision a playoff series where you have those, one game here, storyline, one storyline is good for the next for 48 hours, and then another narrative is created. Definitely a stark contrast from the first round. So, these are definitely some great matchups, and three of them might go the distance potentially. So,
yeah, and I think we have an upset brewing in one of them. So we'll talk about that too. So
okay.
one that I might have definitely been wrong on. So me and pretty much everybody else, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about the NFL schedule release that just dropped yesterday. So we're going to hit up that. I do feel a little teaser for people here. I do feel that the NFL must have listened to all the comments that all of us made last year by how absolutely horrid Thursday Night Football was, because they set their game up.
Yes, and Herbie and Al Michaels they're gonna have a treat, big time. Like, yes,
I almost wonder like how much input did they actually have on the scheduling for the Thursday night games. They're like, we're not calling this. Like, no, we're not.
Exactly. Like, I need another option. Like, okay, this one, let's get this one.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Amazon, man, if I'm paying Al Michaels and Kurt Herstreet, you're not giving me the garbage games.
Yes, you're not giving me. You're not giving me the B game. You're giving me prime time.
I'm getting some good matchups. Yeah,
exactly.
So we're gonna dive into all that, man. But let's start with this NBA talk, man.
Yeah.
So let's start with this series that's already over. So the Miami Heat have already won. They are the only team that we know so far that's going to be in the conference championship game. They're going to be over representing it East. So we're going to find out here pretty soon. Maybe game 6, maybe game 7, if it's going to be the Bucks or the Celtics. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. But what did you see out of Miami, man?
Miami, I think they're another solid, tough team. Almost reminiscent of the 2020 run, where you just look at Jimmy Butler once again. I call it. He's a sports sociopath. Like he finds a way, any type of angle to help him just achieve what he needs to do. I think they're really solid. I think you just look at this Miami, Miami Heat team. To me, I think they're a team that definitely could. I think as far as their next matchup, they'll definitely be potentially a favorite, especially if we think if Milwaukee doesn't have Chris Middleton healthy. Potentially, we know even with Boston, they'll probably be a favorite against them as well. But I think they're a solid team. Miami's always a well coached team, and they're just moving on along, man. They definitely have that. They have that 2020 feel to them.
Yeah, I think they're really focused, right? I mean, they came in, they just handled their business, like you said. They played well. Jimmy Butler, like you said, just out there doing his thing. Just a quick note, man. I do see we got some people starting to kind of flow in here. Some viewers. Do not adjust your sets. My co-host did not suddenly become a Commanders fan.
He needs to though.
Got a special filling guest tonight, Couch Coach from Couch Coach Live, filling in for those of you who watched our draft coverage and some past episodes. You're familiar with Chris, so
yeah,
just a little heads up there. So yeah, man, I don't really think there's much to say there, except for I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah,
who do you think that they would rather get between Boston and Milwaukee?
Matchup wise, it's very interesting. I think if I'm them, I would want Milwaukee just for the simple fact of, hey, like we talked about the focus, you're going against the defending champions. They've been down this road before. Even though I know it was 2 years ago and it's a lot different, a lot has changed in the last 2 years, but they're a team that definitely could actually pose as a better matchup, because I think to me, it's part of it is like, even you think about Giannis on the other side, but then you think about a guy like a Jason Tatum, you both got two situations where you have, that immovable object. So it's just one of those. I think Boston probably a little bit more deeper than them, and then you got like a heat check guy like a Marcus Smart, who I think could be definitely in the series against the Heat would be like a major contributor, especially his perimeter defense and what have you. So I definitely think that can, you look at those type of situations where guys may not be able to get shots off as effectively, especially when you got a guy like him defending those wings. So you have an issue with that. But I think matchup wise probably would be Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee would be somewhere where I think they would have somewhat of an advantage in probably about 2 or 3 of those one-on-one matchups potentially.
Yeah, I think when I look at the matchups, I mean, obviously part of the conversation has to be Chris Middleton.
Yes.
Are they going to be able to get him back? Because that makes a big difference in terms of Milwaukee's ability to compete with him. A healthy Chris Middleton, I definitely would pick Milwaukee in that series. Now, when I look at Boston, what's interesting about Boston to me is it's their defense. Now, they haven't exactly shut Giannis down, but they have certainly made Giannis work for every single bucket, and the rest of their team too. So that's why I think you've seen Milwaukee hasn't looked as sharp in this series as what a lot of people expected them to look. And then again, having Middleton out is definitely hurt. I actually picked Boston to win this series.
Yep.
And I do think they're going to win game 6 and actually force a game 7. So we'll see what happens there. But I think from a matchup standpoint, I think the difference between Miami and Milwaukee is, especially with Middleton being out, Milwaukee is very dependent on Giannis. Whereas Miami, they have 3 or 4 different guys who can get hot on any given night and score. So I think when you have that many guys who can score, it's going to make it more difficult on Boston to play that aggressive team defense and still be able to score with Miami. So actually, I think Boston's a little bit better matchup for them. But I mean, either way, man, yeah. I'm all about watching that series. Whichever one it is.
Definitely a physical, and you got dogs on both sides. So like you said, it's regardless of who they match up, it's going to be a very entertaining series.
That's like going back old school 90s NBA playoffs.
Yep.
Go and get Marv Albert out there on the sideline reporting.
Like, so almost like a Knicks and the Cavs type of situation, as far as when I think about like defensively how the Cavs were, that Mike Fratello Cavs versus like the Pat Riley Knicks, like that kind of like, the physicality. But it'll definitely be filled with a little bit more offense than the Mike Fratello Cavaliers.
Yeah. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, I'm showing my age. So
you got people out there trying to figure out how to spell this dude's name.
Hey, Mike Fratello, Cleveland Cavaliers. Like this before LeBron James? Yes.
This might have been before LeBron was born.
Yeah, I think he was a baby. he was a child. You know.
These are the teams that LeBron grew up watching.
Right.
That's kind of crazy when you think about it, right?
Right.
So let's actually real quick, man. I want to talk about the team that got eliminated by Miami, the 76ers. So you went out, you managed to get rid of your Ben Simmons problem, but you inherited a James Harden problem. So where does this team go from here? I mean, they already said they're bringing Doc back. So we know they're bringing Doc back, but they can't possibly really be considering paying James Harden a max contract, can they?
They better not do that. After that performance in Game 6, and the thing about it is he's done this countless times. Like, this isn't a situation where, oh, this is just a one-off and what have you. Yep. And he literally gave up on his team. This man is a 75th anniversary, one of the top 75 players in NBA history. People look at him as one of the greatest scorers of all time, but he only shot the ball twice in Game 6 of a game that you had an opportunity to win this game. Now, granted, they had a great opportunity to win this basketball game, and he didn't score. He didn't put up anything. And like he did this in Houston. He's done this in Brooklyn. He's done this everywhere he has gone. Like we talking about, you got rid of a Ben Simmons problem. It's almost like, okay, I caught the cold. Now I got pneumonia. It's even worse. And it's like priority number one is we got to find a way to get James Harden out of town, because he, like, for the effort that he put, you think about a guy like a Joel Embiid who literally could have risked his career by coming in this series. And that fall, the other night, I was like, oh my gosh, like make sure he gets up, because that was scary. And then you got a guy like Tyrese Maxey who was balling out. He's 21 years old. He's emotional and crying after the game and all this. And then you got a guy like a James Harden that just don't care. Like the priority one, get him out of there. You got to, I don't know, like you said, I don't know who want to take over that problem, and who is somebody give him a max contract. I'm all about guys getting money, but this one it might be something I'll be a little bit pissed off of.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, I think my personal thoughts on Harden are he wanted out of Oklahoma City because he didn't want to play third fiddle, right? He wanted to be the guy. But he didn't really realize what being the guy was going to be.
Right.
And once he got a chance to be the guy, he realized he's not the guy. But people keep throwing money at you to be the guy.
Right.
So I think James Harden finds himself in a situation where he doesn't know what to do. He's just stuck, bro. Like, he doesn't know what to do because, like you said, like, we've seen this before. You know, my co-host pointed it out multiple times over the last few weeks. This is what James Harden does. Embiid's in the post game talking about anybody that thinks that, James Harden is still the Houston James Harden, that's not who he is anymore. That's exactly who he is. That's exactly who he is. That's the problem.
Right. And worse, he's a scorer. That's literally us saying down the line, if Steph Curry don't shoot, oh, he's not the shooter no more. You're born to be a shooter. You're born to be a scorer. Like, that doesn't die because you're 32 years old or your skills have diminished. You're gonna score. You're a scorer. Like, that doesn't go away. Like,
it's not like he's broken down or something. Like, he's still physically capable going out there making plays.
This man can lose about 40 pounds in 2 weeks. He's done it like twice. Like, it's like, dude, this man, like, there's nothing wrong with him. It's a him problem. It's a mental issue with him. Like, look, I've given up on this team. I've literally given up.
I mean, it really is, man. Like, he does not handle pressure well. Yep. That's what it boils down to. He does not handle pressure well at all. So yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do, man. But they got to figure out something. You got to get rid of James Harden. You just got to cut your ties there. Maxey is a guy who showed you he could be a big part of your future. And B, you already know is your franchise. You got to build around those two guys. And you got to stop trying to bring in these other pieces that just don't work.
Right.
Like, I don't know what they talented scouting department doing, but it's not their job.
Right. And I would have, in theory, now you think to yourself, I would have just took Ben Simmons. I would have just took the fact of, hey, he flirted and saying, hey, I'm gonna be back in game 4, and then 2 weeks later have a back surgery. Like, it's so sad. I'd rather deal with that than to deal with what happened last night. Like, I'd rather him just being on Ben Simmons being on a bench with a hospital wrist on, just come fresh out of surgery, than to deal with what happened last night.
Let me think about this. Last year, they get eliminated. The play that kind of set everything into motion, Ben Simmons, wide open under the basket, gave up the rock, right? He passed up on a shot, and people absolutely crucified him for it. James Harden literally scored the exact same number of points for the 76ers as Ben Simmons in the second half of Game 6.
Right.
That's when your stars are supposed to come out. That's when they're supposed to rise to the occasion.
Right.
The second half of games is when you need your playmakers to make plays. James Harden didn't do it.
No pun intended. That's why I'm like, it's so crazy, like how, and that's why the beauty about all this type of stuff is you have to let stuff play out. Because I swear, people that first game, everybody's like, oh, this might be the best duo since Kobe and Shaq, and I'm thinking to myself, slow it down.
Like,
slow it down.
Pump the brakes.
Slow it down. Let's win it. Let's at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Hell, win at least 2 games in the conference championship before we even have a trace of that conversation to even utter it out our mouth. We can say it out in our minds, but to say it out loud, they need to go to the Eastern Conference Finals or at least make it to the finals before that's even uttered out. And I'm like, do y'all know how this? Well, like I always say, if you don't learn from history, you're gonna be doomed to repeat it. And
the only thing that the 76ers are going to get them credit for right now is the fact they already came out and said they're bringing Doc back.
Yeah,
because Doc is a really good coach, and there's the temptation just to go ahead and, especially after the season ending the way it did, to say we might look at other options. You weren't going to get a better coach,
right? And then people talk about Mike D'Antoni. I'm like, you're going to make it worse. Like, we talk about cold pneumonia, now double pneumonia. Like, if you bring in Mike D'Antoni.
You in the hospital on like a respirator at this point.
Right.
Bring in Mike D'Antoni, yeah.
Like you said, you literally got the best coach, and that's another example. I don't think James Harden want to be coached by a dog. You could just tell, like, that body language just the other night, and just in the series alone, just since he pretty much been there.
James Harden won't be coached by nobody,
right? Except for D'Antoni.
Yeah. So we'll see what they're gonna do, man. I know when we have some people tune in for the replay, I'm sure we're gonna have some comments on that, because I know there's some Sixers fans that watch the show. So we'll see what they got to say about it. But so moving on to some of these other series. So we talked a little bit about Boston and Milwaukee. And I told you I think Boston's gonna win Game 6. I'm still actually gonna pick Boston to win the series. I'm curious, how do you see this one ended up? Do you think Milwaukee can end this in 6 at home?
They're gonna have to. Like, to me, I think this is a situation where, especially in that Game 5, where Boston really had an opportunity to win that game. I mean, they was up about 14 in the 4th, and then end up letting them come back in it. And those type of games, I look at those, how can a team recover? Yeah. Like, so to me, if, Milwaukee's, hey, this is a golden opportunity. We do not want this to go back. Like, we want to take care of business tonight and go on and get ready for Miami, because you literally, the opportunity the window has opened. There's a major crack. Hey, get through that window and beat this team. And like you said, they have to because Game 7 is such a crapshoot. You really can throw everything away in a Game 7. I can't say, oh well, you got experience or you this. No, you run that risk, and you may not be as lucky as you were in Game 1 in Boston. So you take care of business. They literally gave you the key to the series the other night on Wednesday night. Take advantage of it.
This is why I think Boston wins the series still.
Yeah.
So one, they have Giannis like hands on his hips, breathing heavy at the end of every single game.
Yep.
The longer this series drags on, the more that's going to take a toll on him. The second thing is 2 games that Boston has lost in this series, they had control of the game. Now, you give Milwaukee credit. They made the plays they had to make. Can honestly argue that Boston just blew that last game. But at the end of the day, Boston has shown that they can actually control these games. They've got them on the ropes. They got them tired. And that's why I think they're ultimately going to be able to win the series. Now, Milwaukee, yeah, they got to win tonight. You're at home. You need the break. You got a Miami team that's already finished. They're already at home resting. So you let this go get to Game 7. You got to go out there and play Boston in another physical game. You got to go on the road to Boston to play the game. And then you have to go and play against a physical Miami team. You don't want that. You do not want that at all.
No.
So yeah, we're gonna find out what Milwaukee is really made of because they have to win this next game. So head over to the other side, man. A very interesting series. This Memphis and Golden State series. I mean, we've had everything in here, man. We've had all the foul calls and the flagrants and all the drama that was involved with that early in the series. We got, little white kids singing "Whoop That Trick" in Memphis. They don't even know what it means.
Right.
Their parents singing along with them. They don't know what it means. You got Draymond Green over there dancing on the sideline to it as they getting like blown out. You getting blown out without Ja or even on the court.
Right.
I mean, dude, like this series is like crazy. Like I want to say like Golden State's going to finally snap out of it and actually go out and play a full game, and they're going to put Memphis out of their misery. But the way this series is gone, I don't even know, man. Like I wouldn't even be surprised. Like I'm just waiting on like a meteor to hit the stadium or something. I don't know what's going to happen next, bro.
I know, and as I'm telling you, it's so weird. To me, I almost feel like this. But Golden State, for some odd reason, I still think they have that off and on switch, like how it used to be in what I call their dynasty years, where they used to do stuff like this, and you think to yourself, like, what are y'all doing? Like this is another one where, and ever since Mike Brown was named the coach of the Sacramento Kings, even the Sacramento Kings is putting a jinx on this on this Golden State Warriors team. And you think about like Game 4. To me, I looked at they didn't even deserve to win that game. And I know sometimes in the playoffs, hey, you're gonna have games where you play and you play like crap, but you end up you win, but you deserve to lose.
Yeah.
But what happened in Game 5?
It might be the absolute best freeze frame of all time, right there, man.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and I'm for the life of me don't understand how Game 5 happened. Game 5 was like a blur. Like one moment it was a little bit closer, then you blink your eye, like it's a 30-point lead, and it's like I say, without Ja Morant and what have you. But like you said, and I think Golden State is actually going. I think the on switch is on now, and I think Game 5 was a warning, and then and then they even try to use "Whip That Trick" as like bulletin board material. You came out flat like that,
yeah.
And it's just like it blows my mind, like how. And I know sometimes in playoffs, hey, you just have a bad night. But this, but I think they'll take care of business tonight because they go to Memphis. You better hope Steve Kerr get better. You hope he can be there Monday night if possible. Because
man, listen, the Kings are reconsidering right now.
Right, I like y'all watching y'all neighbors in the north like it's looking good.
The Kings about to do Mike Brown like Joshua Daniel did the Colts a couple years ago.
Right, like let's rescind this offer.
No, man, we were just playing. You ain't signed nothing yet, so
right. Remember, this is a verbal contract because remember you're
yeah, so yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think really what we saw in this last game was kind of a combination, right? I think it was Golden State looking at it, going, Ja's not out there. We're going to easily win this game. They're trying to use the whole motivation thing for themselves, which to me, when I see teams start coming out talking about some bulletin board material, what that says to me is we don't feel like we're ready and we're trying to motivate ourselves.
Yep.
So I take that a little bit differently than a lot of people do. I think Memphis, on the other hand, they felt like, hey, we know what the league said. We know everybody said. We kind of felt like it was a little bit of a dirty play that hurt Ja. So we're going to rally around that. And they actually came out and they played really hard. Now, if Golden State turns it on, they should be able to beat them. And I think they will. I think they kind of got embarrassed a little bit. And you can see at the end of the game, they were like, you know what? They weren't even stressing it. Like, they didn't even look deflated. They were like, okay, we just know what we got to do. So I do think they will end up winning this next game and put it away. I don't think this one's going to go 7. But there's another game that's already in Game 7. Another series that's already in Game 7. And this is the one I was talking about earlier that I was leading to that I think is going to be an upset. Because unlike Golden State, who walked off the court after getting beat down, looking like whatever, I'll say we'll go back home, we'll knock this thing out. Phoenix look like a team that's lost. They look like they are shook.
Yeah. And this is scary. Like, to me, especially when you got a guy, especially in Luka, like in Game 6, he had 33, 11, and 8. Like, only had 1 turnover. He had more points than Booker and CP3 combined. And you got a 1-game winner wins all. And people fail to realize, yes, Phoenix Suns, yes, they were in the NBA Finals last year. They defended Western Conference champions. But this Mavericks team has been in this situation before and have failed twice with the Clippers in the last 2 years. And now you got to think to yourself, this is a dangerous team that you will want to play in a 1 game where you got a guy like and that's the thing where with Game 7s, it's a crapshoot. Like we say, you throw everything away. You throw away the experience. You throw all that away because it's a 1 game. And you got a guy like a Luka who is dominant, and he can get hot in 1 game. Jalen Brunson. I mean, that team, that Mavericks team, that's
Spencer with Dinwiddie.
Spencer Dinwiddie, he's been balling.
Season.
Yeah, and you think to yourself, like, this is a team, much less do I want to play them in the alley, or much less in the 7th game, in a Game 7 winner takes all.
Yeah.
Phoenix is in trouble, and then the pressure mounts because Chris Paul, another one where this is another game. He's almost like a James Harden type situation where we know how it is when it comes to Game 7s and Chris Paul. It's almost like that's his kryptonite.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, this is one of the few shows where we're pretty critical of Chris Paul.
Oh yeah.
Cool's a little more critical of him than I am.
And it's funny, we talked about that, and it's so funny because when he came on our show after they lost to Milwaukee, and he pointed out Chris Paul, we all was like, "Thank you, because like I said, I've always Chris Paul, I love-hate relationship with him ever since Wake Forest. The thing that threw me off was when he punched Julius Hodge, in the Family Jewels on senior night. That's made me like, you know what, that's disrespectful. So ever since then, that's been about 18 years ago, probably. I mean, it's been a minute, but but yeah, he's and it's unfortunate, but it's the more pressures on Phoenix versus Luka could come in. Hey, he's 21, 22 years old. Hey, I could just come in, do my thing like I did in Game 6. I come out with a victory versus Chris Paul. If he falls in another Game 7, not saying it's going to tarnish his legacy, but people gonna look at him, they're gonna look at him kind of like, all right, he's his window is tightening and to a point where he may not get any more cracks, at this potentially.
Well, I tell you, man, who actually said going back to the start of the playoffs that this Dallas team, that if Luka could actually learn to let other guys shine, they actually have the talent to even win everything, go all the way to the championship. He said they feel like they had that kind of talent. So this was a team that early in the series, what we saw was Luka trying to be the superstar. Yeah. So I don't know what Jason Kidd or whoever said to him. I don't know what changed, but lately, his mentality's changed. He's still going on. He's getting his points, but he's learning to get his points in the flow of the game. And he's allowing other guys to step up. And they're playing good team defense. They're absolutely disrupting anything Chris Paul wants to do. Jason Kidd has put together a great defensive plan against Chris Paul. So, yeah, I personally think Phoenix is in trouble. I think Dallas is going to win this game.
I mean, I mean, not to jump out the window with it, but like I can see that happening too, especially like you said, in this series, especially at this point of Game 7, who would I rather trust, Booker, CP3, or Luka? Sad to say, I believe in Luka.
Yeah,
I think at this point, I would take Luka in this because it's really throw away all there at home and this, that, and third, and they've been here. They both been here, but yeah, I definitely like you saying, as far as you look at the Mavs defense, they've pretty much been balling CP3 as well. So yeah, I would not be surprised if Dallas, if we sit here, we sit here Sunday afternoon, and the Mavericks have advanced to the Western Conference Finals. Would not be surprised at whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not only am I not going to be surprised, I'm calling it. I'm saying it is going to happen. I'm confident in it.
I guarantee.
I guarantee. So yeah, man. So it's interesting, man. I'm actually loving these series, man, because I really thought that Boston and Milwaukee was going to be the only competitive series we got.
Right.
I was wrong. I'm glad though. Because it was going to be boring to just watch that one good series.
Yeah, because I know, especially I knew like going back 2 weeks ago, them game ones when you had Boston and Milwaukee, and then also Golden State and Memphis. I was like, ooh, these could be the matchups.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I would love to see Memphis pull off the upset, just because Golden State getting on my nerves right now. We talked about it last week. I mean, you gonna come out whining and crying about, this foul on Draymond and it was dirty and you broke the code, or not on Draymond, sorry, but on Gary Payton.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, you got Draymond on your team. How you gonna come out and criticize other people for being dirty?
Exactly. That's all he do.
That's like the '90s Cowboys accusing the other team of using drugs.
Ask LeBron James what Game 4 of 2016 NBA Finals. Ask him how he felt. You know. Like people, man. I'm telling you, man. Yeah. That's what, like you said, that's where it come with them. They got this bravado and that off and on switch. And I'm just like, look, you can't do that these days. This ain't 2017. Like,
yeah,
you lucky you in this position. Like for real. Like So
we gonna see, man. We gonna see.
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of feeling like I'm looking at the teams in the West. I'm like, it really didn't even matter because I don't see any of y'all beating these teams out of the East.
Right. Because whoever come out of the East, I think is gonna win.
Yeah, and let's just throw that out there real quick. So
right.
So man, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little NFL.
Ooh.
We just had a schedule drop. The game that we both looking forward to. Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve in Santa Clara. Let's go.
My Niners.
And my Washington Commanders. We coming cross country on a Christmas Eve adventure. Like, oh man.
The cross country camis.
Yes. We're coming, we'll be coming in, hopefully we'll be like Santa Claus, take a win and get some cookies and milk in Santa Clara and head on back home and No,
we giving y'all an L for Christmas.
Hey, but yeah. And that's why I think, as I tell people do not like when people want to compare other leagues. Oh, this league's this. Dude, it's May the 13th. And yesterday the schedule was released and it was a primetime event.
Yeah.
It's a primetime event. Even with the draft. They did the draft, and then what they did during the draft, talk about the schedule release coming out in 2 weeks. This is the gift that keeps on giving. People don't like NFL is a 365 league and 366 on leap years.
Yeah.
You just cannot beat it. Like just they are giving guys like me and you hope.
Yeah.
In May. Like we're looking forward to a game. What? 7 months from now. Yeah. Like as if it's gonna happen Sunday.
We have neither one of us have even seen the team that we're gonna field this year take a snap on the football field, and we already talking smack,
Right. Like cool, talk smack. Oh, week 3, I'm gonna be there. All right, just it's gonna be a long ride home after the loss. And then one of my guys, Stu, he's a Colts fan. We played them October the 30th, and he's like, "Oh, get ready for that L in week 8." I'm like, it's May the 13th, but I love it. Like,
bro, I'm already looking because I'm down here in Atlanta, so we got the Panthers and the Falcons back to back, both on the road. I'm like, I'm going to both games, bro.
Yeah,
like,
I know, and that's what people don't realize, and like that's how I plan my year. Like as far as when it comes to trips, vacations, because you already know like once the season's over, who you gonna be on the road or you gonna be at home. Like when are those gonna happen? So then, like, I think mine's probably going. I know I'm probably gonna go at least to Detroit. I think Detroit is probably a little bit more feasible for me from here. As far as going to a road game. Because I say I want to go to a road game. Like last year, I went to the Falcons game when we was in Atlanta, and that man, I love Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I love that place. Like I wish we were playing them, in Atlanta again, but we got them at home this year. But I like.
It's a nice stadium, man.
I love it. It's and the vibe of it. I was like, if we ever play the Falcons ever again, I'm going to that game for certain. I don't care what time of year, whatever, I'm there. Like that's. So
I don't know if you can see what's going on in the backstage or not, but we got a third guest.
Okay.
What's going on, man?
Fails Eagle fail.
And he gone already. Maybe he wasn't ready. He'll be back. Yeah. But yeah, man. So yeah, I'm excited about that, man. You know, it's nice just to have that flexibility with the scheduling. But in kind of looking at the other ones here, I'm actually going to minimize my screen just so I can kind of pull this up and look at it.
Yeah.
Get the dual view over here.
I think people like it's funny because somebody asked me like, "Wow, was hype one day?" And I'm like, "Man, how like seeing Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit together?" I'm like, I'm already envisioning like the 15th of September already. You know.
So you see, we got a comment from Billy V says, "Look out for those Lions this year." Hey, look, man, I know you're just playing, but like legit, like I think the Lions actually will be decent.
I think so too, and we got.
I just hope it takes them a few weeks.
I know, right? At least 3. Give them 3 because you got them in week 1, right? Because
I got them week 1, yes, sir.
Yeah, Darius Slay come back to the come back, and then
to the
we got them
yes,
in week
sir.
2. Dang, so they got 2 home games to start the season. Lucky them.
Hey,
because we got them week 2. So yeah, like you said, give them about 3 weeks, and you know,
yeah, just a couple of weeks, and then you know, yeah,
bite kneecaps after week 3.
Bro, listen, you do realize that the entire NFC East, y'all have the 4 easiest strength of schedules in the entire NFL, dude. Come on.
But that's because we play the NFC North, right?
And the NFC East.
But I'm saying it's because we play the NFC North. Because while people love to talk about the NFC East being weak, there's only been one decent team in the NFC North for the last 10 years.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And they get 6 easy wins every year, but nobody talks about that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
We
beat up on each other in the East. The North, they all just bow down to Aaron Rodgers.
Pretty much.
So
yeah.
So yeah, cool. So you just missed all of our NBA talk, but since you're here, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and ask you for your predictions. So is Milwaukee finishing this in 6?
Yes, they are.
Okay. We were both saying that we think Dallas. I'm saying Dallas is gonna win. Couch Coach thinks Dallas has a really good shot.
Phoenix is gonna win, I think. But I think, as Couch Coach said, Dallas has a good shot because Phoenix allowed you to do the one thing you don't ever want to do, which is get to Game 7 tied, right?
Yeah.
So one game. I mean, I'm gonna pick the team who I feel like is the better team, and plus, I believe in that series. No road team has won a game. So if the pattern continues, Phoenix should win Game 7, but they did allow it to get to Game 7. So if they lose, they have no one to blame but themselves, not a single other person.
Yeah. And then we were both kind of in agreement that Golden State's going to wake up and finish off the series.
If they don't wake up and finish off this series, then it's time to make some changes in Golden State. Because that means they're not good enough.
Yeah. So yeah, so you know, just figured I'd go ahead and give you a chance to at least throw your predictions out there on those.
Yeah, there's one other thing I'd like to discuss real quick in regards to the NBA. Okay. So I believe earlier this week, the reigning and defending NBA MVP was made the back-to-back reigning and defending MVP. I've said all along that he was the right candidate. There's been a lot of arguments about, he was the first guy that wasn't on a team that was the 3rd seed or higher that won, and that's not the best player on the best team. But ask yourself a question seriously. Of most of the other candidates, are they even determined or looked at as the best player on the team besides Embiid? Giannis, he's the best player on his team, but he has a lot of help, right? Embiid, best player on his team, misses games sometimes. He's not as versatile as Jokic. You look at the other highly ranked teams, is Jimmy Butler cut and dry the best player on his team? You look at the Celtics. He's the best player on the team. Like a lot of these teams is convoluted. There's a 1 and like a 1. So when you're looking at it from that particular standpoint, that kind of discounts him. Like Devin Booker. Chris Paul was also an MVP candidate. So how can you pick either one of those guys? What sense would it make to pick one or the other if they're both candidates? So you have to look at it from that perspective as well. And then a reasonable individual, which a lot of fans who like Embiid or not, would say, okay, well, then we need to find a team that has one guy, and without him, that team is going to be complete trash. And that was Denver. Does that set a little bit of a new precedent for some people mentally for the MVP? Yeah. But he was the most valuable player in the league a second year. better stats in almost every category but assistant last year. What more can you ask from an individual to do and try to deny him what is his? And that's the MVP award. And one more point, because there's a lot of points to make, but we only got an hour show and I'm late, so I appreciate you guys holding it down. But acknowledge him.
Gotta get the Romarins in. I feel you.
Always.
Want to acknowledge your tribal MVP.
Yes, sir.
Can't be mad at it. It was well deserved. Hey, he did his thing, So
little thought there on Golden State.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I'm no longer a fan of Golden State. I don't respect teams who call out other people for doing stuff unintentional when they have the dirtiest player in the game on their team. So
yeah, we already talked about how they got Ruffalo Jr. out there. So yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So we were talking about the schedule release and talking about how they really stepped up their game for Thursday night football this year. So just kind of running through these matchups real quick. We're opening with the Chargers against the Chiefs. Yeah, the Steelers and the Browns. That might not be like the best matchup, but I mean, it's a good division matchup. We'll see how good Pittsburgh is, how competitive that game might be, but that could be a good one. The Dolphins against the Bengals is another one people are going to be excited to watch and see with everything Miami did. The Colts versus the Broncos. The Commanders versus the Bears. I know Couch Coach is looking forward to that one. Got the Saints against the Cardinals. That's going to be a good one. Ravens against the Bucks. That's going to be a good one. The Eagles versus the Texans. I mean, Eagles fans want to watch that. Nobody else does. Atlanta versus Carolina. They both suck, but it's going to be a fun game to watch because it's going to be competitive. You got the Titans versus Green Bay. Another big game. Bills versus New England. You know that's going to be a big one. The Raiders versus the Rams. The Niners versus the Seahawks. I mean, we'll see what Seattle is by that point in the season because that's week 14. But that one might only be interesting to us Niners fans. Jacksonville versus the Jets. They felt like they needed to give us a break right there at the end of the season, I guess. And then you got the Cowboys at the Titans. So really good matchups. Obviously the Commanders game you're excited about. What other games you excited about, Coach?
I'm actually looking forward to that Ravens and Bucks. That's that October 27th matchup in week 8. The contrast of styles. You want to see, what Lamar Jackson will do, that run game, versus Tom Brady. This Lamar Jackson versus Tom Brady. I look at that matchup, and then another one, kind of a sneaky one. The Jags versus the Jets. I think that's a little sneaky little Thursday before Christmas matchup. I'm not, don't kill the messenger, but just embrace the message. I think maybe one of these two teams might be playing meaningful football down the line. Not saying that they're going to be a playoff team, but there might be some significance in that game come week 16 potentially.
Yeah. It would definitely be interesting. What about you, Cool? What games are you most looking forward to on Thursday night?
So this is my my opinion of the Thursday night games. Running down the list, it seems like they're better matchups than last year, right? Like the Eagles and Texans, everybody expects the Eagles to be a lot better than the Texans. That's going to happen from time to time. Yeah. But when I look down the list, for the most part, I feel like at least about 85% of the games are competitive games.
Yeah.
Based on what we know so far about the teams. If we can just get competitive games on Thursday nights, I'm good. Like, I'll watch anybody play as long as it's a competitive game. So my big thing is I just want competitive games on Thursday night. Please make Thursday night matter. Don't give me Jaguars and, Ben, what's up? But don't give me Jaguars and, the Giants type games every week. But, at least give me games. But if you are going to give me one or two of those, that's cool because they still should be a good game, like you said, because they both suck.
Yeah.
But don't give me like Jaguars against the Bucks. Like, I don't want to see that on Thursday night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to see that game.
Don't give me obvious blowouts. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me games where if it's two teams that suck, that's cool. If it's two teams that you think are going to be pretty good, that's cool. Two teams that you think are going to be great, that's cool. Last year, they didn't do that. Last year, they were just like, oh, we're just going to throw whoever on Thursday nights. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason the Eagles last year should have been playing the Bucks on Thursday night. And I'm an Eagles fan. That was a disrespect to everyone who watched that game that wasn't a Bucs fan. Do better, NFL. And he looks like he did better so far, at least this year.
Yeah. So moving over to Sunday night. We got the opener, which is technically a Thursday night game. The Bills versus the Rams. Really good. you boy BS said Thursday last matter.
Yes, indeed.
Thursday games matter too, man. Thursday games matter.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Al and Herbie.
We got September 11th. We got the Bucs versus the Cowboys.
Ugh.
That should be a good game.
Yeah. Then we got the Bears versus the Packers. So we'll see, man. Because I mean, Green Bay, like you alluded to earlier, has pretty much been running that. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do now that Devontae Adams is suiting up in silver and black. See what happens there. September 25th, we got the Niners going to the Broncos. So obviously, Niners versus Russell Wilson is what people are gonna be looking at. So that should be an interesting one. The Chiefs versus the Bucs, little Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah.
Bengals versus the Ravens. Then Cowboys versus the Eagles. Steelers Dolphins. Packers Bills. Titans Chiefs. Chargers Niners. Bengals Steelers. Packers Eagles. Colts Cowboys. Chiefs Broncos. New England versus the Raiders. Bucks versus Cardinals. And Rams versus Chargers. That's not a bad matchup in there.
Right.
Yeah,
I want to
right.
see all
it's really
of them.
not. And
It's
I want to
really
see
not.
all of them.
Yeah, all trio.
all of them.
All of them.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they nailed it.
We already got our first prediction.
Oh yeah, I know. Ben was going for that.
Well,
I ain't mad at you though. You got to ride for your squad. You know what I'm saying?
Technically, that's our second prediction because I already took the Niners over the Commodores.
But yeah, I look at it's two matchups. I look at that one. Obviously, I think that Week 10, like you alluded to, San Francisco versus the LA Chargers, a rematch of Super Bowl 29. So
way back on that one.
Yeah, so so I look at that as a good matchup and a sneaky good one. I think it's gonna be Patriots versus the Raiders, Week 15. Teacher versus the pupil versus the student. Josh McDaniels versus Bill Belichick. We all know about him and his assistants and the drama that can ensue. And then I think this could be a matchup that could potentially have playoff implications as well in Week 15. So,
yeah. Any particular games that stand out there for you, Cole?
I'm gonna say Cowboys and Eagles. Anytime you get the Cowboys and Eagles together, that's always a good wholesome matchup. It's two of the teams that's been better in the division for a while. But as you said, there's really not a bad matchup. You could really pick anyone. It's just about the way the season goes based on the expectations for how they actually go. A lot of these could be really great matchups, and I hope they are because at the end of the day, man, you gotta kill Sunday night. Like Sunday night gotta be games that you want to see too. Thursday and Sunday, they gotta be games you want to see. Like, Sunday night, but through the day Sunday, that's where you put them lollipop games, man. That's where we put them. But Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night games, they need to be games that matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's one game everybody's watching. You got to give us something to work with.
Yeah. Now, that brings us to the other primetime night, Monday nights. So we're opening with the Broncos versus the Seahawks, which, listen, I'm a Niners fan. I have no love lost for Seattle at all, but that's just dirty, man. That's just straight dirty. NFL should be ashamed of themselves for that. They did Seattle wrong on that one. I ain't mad, though. Go ahead and start this season off with that L. Then you got the Bills versus the Titans. That's going to be a good one right there, so... Yeah, Ben points out as the season progresses, games can be better or worse due to injuries. And and that's why we're just kind of looking at this now, like, hey, what makes sense? Because there was games on the schedule last year that you knew in the offseason they were going to be terrible.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right, Ben. That's why like
good.
the ability to flex is so important to me. So when that does happen, you can get a better game into that spot.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Then we got also week 2. Week 2, we got the doubleheader. So playing the second half of that doubleheader is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Minnesota Vikings. My co-host alludes to the Fly Eagles slide down there. Then we got the Cowboys versus the Giants. That might be interesting only because it's a division game.
I'll tell you why I think
always a little bit competitive.
I'll tell you why I think that particular game is going to be interesting. So a lot of people have Dallas and Philadelphia as the top 2 teams, and the Commanders and the Giants as whatever. Right? That's what a lot of people are saying. I'm not ready to say anything until we see teams out in the field. But I think this is a good barometer check for the Giants. If the Giants can win or hang in this game, that shows everyone the Giants, even though they may not be winning games, are a much better team than last year. If they go out and somehow beat Dallas, which I honestly think is highly unlikely, but it gives them an early measuring stick game against a team that's going to at least be in the playoff picture, barring injuries, as been alluded to earlier. So I think that's a good matchup as far as a team that you don't know too much about yet.
Yeah.
They've been bad for a while, but maybe this is a chance for them to get Saquon healthy and do some things. So maybe it ends up being a better game than we think, but I think that's a real game to pinpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Week 4, got the Rams at the Niners. That's always a banger.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you put those 2 teams together, it's going to be a game. Then you got the Raiders and the Chiefs. Another game, another 2 teams that when you put it together, they're going to go out there and put on a show.
Yeah.
Then you got the Broncos and the Chargers. So the AFC West getting a lot of love in back-to-back weeks there.
Yeah.
Then you got the Bears versus the Patriots. So, we all know what they're going to hype up on that as. That's going to be Justin Fields versus Mac Jones. They're going to try to hype that one up. And by that point in the season, it'd be interesting to see where Justin Fields is, because that's a week 7 game.
Yep.
Then you got the Bengals versus the Browns. So obviously with the moves that the Browns made in the offseason, that now looks like a really interesting matchup. You got the Ravens versus the Saints, another interest one. And then week 10, man, like, nobody wants to go see this game probably, but the Commanders versus the Eagles. I mean,
it's a Monday night game, right?
Yep,
so that's crazy.
So I know at least 2 people that really want to see that game. So yeah, so that's another good one. Then that's followed up by the Niners playing the Cardinals. Then the Steelers and the Colts. Then you got the Saints versus the Bucks. And don't forget, man, the Saints seem to have Tampa's number, so those games are usually more competitive than people think. And Jameis, should be back healthy by the end, so that could be an interesting one. Then you got the Patriots versus the Cardinals, the Rams versus the Packers, the Chargers versus the Colts, and then the Bills versus the Bengals. So a couple games in there that are maybe a little bit borderline, but again, those are all pretty solid games. It makes me wonder, like, I haven't looked at the regular season schedule. I've only really looked at the primetime games. I was like, are there going to be any good games on Sunday in the middle of the day?
Right. It has some intrigue, but like you said, the prime times. And plus the thing about it too, we got all these major networks have superstar box office commentators. Like, so it's like these are perfect. Now you got Troy and Joe now at ESPN, and they got to have games too. You got heavy hitters now, so it's just yeah.
We talked about that earlier about the Thursday night. It's like how much of the Thursday night schedule getting improved was Amazon saying, "Look, we went out and spent this money to get Herb Street and Al Michaels. You've given us good games."
Right. That may have something to do with it.
Right. I got the GOAT. I got, do you believe in miracles? Yes. And that was like 43 years ago. Well, 42 years ago. And it's still a legendary call. He's the GOAT.
So,
then that could happen.
Saints question. OBGA to the Saints with Landry there. For those who do not know, who didn't see it, Landry did sign with the Saints today. So, obviously a lot of thoughts about the whole LSU, everyone to LSU gonna go play for the Saints kind of mentality, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be the Baton Rouge Saints.
Baton Rouge.
You heard me?
But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Because let's be honest, the Saints don't really have much in the way of weapons right now at receiver. So there's room for him on that roster.
Right. At least as a number 3 behind Michael Thomas and Juice.
Yeah.
Yep.
The juice is loose.
And you really don't you can almost, like we said, a college term, he can redshirt this year, essentially. You get him maybe later on in the season, but like you said, then what's gonna happen with Mike Thomas? That's a question mark too, where you look at, will this injury, carry over into 2022? So I definitely would like it. Especially you look at like a lot, even though they trade up to get Olave, which is he NFL ready at that point, which so yeah, I would love it, and like you said, because we know they weren't the problem, it was a Baker problem. So it may be a Jameis problem, but but let's try it.
Yeah,
right.
At the end of the day, what I think what happened with OBJ is if depends on how he wants to play this, but here's how I would play if I were him. You can't really play anytime soon anyways. So there's no rush for you to sign with anybody, right? You can just kind of sit out. You can wait and see who is actually competitive. See who's actually competing for a playoff spot. And then by the time you're able to come back and play, you can go hop on with somebody who's actually contending for a title. That's what I think. That's what I think might happen. There's no point in him rushing to go join the team right now. It's not like he could participate in training camp.
Right.
Well, gentlemen, I was appreciate y'all letting me pretty much hop on y'all show for this week. But I got to get back to what I'm doing. But I got to show my face on the show when I can. So I'm gonna be back full force next week. You know what I'm saying? It's always the play callers, and don't forget Eagles Elite. If you're an Eagles fan, Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Let's go. And acknowledge him again. Don't forget, acknowledge him. You're a back-to-back MVP.
Acknowledge us. Egg fade to black. he just straight bouncing on us, man. He's just like, I'm out. Hell right. I messed my Brandon all up and everything. Well, man, we are actually at time. I can't believe we actually managed to squeeze all that in.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible to squeeze all that into an hour. So definitely appreciate you coming here tonight, man. Filling in for Cool while he's off doing some personal stuff tonight. Glad he was able to hop in for a few minutes with us as well. Appreciate everybody tuning in on the comments as well tonight. Couch Coach, if people want to find you, man, tell them where to do that at.
Yes, indeed. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere social media under Couch Coach Live. Also, check out the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there under Couch Coach Live.
That's what's up. Y'all make sure y'all follow him. And before you go run off and do that, make sure you hit the subscribe button for us already and go and hit this like button on this video, because that's what lets YouTube know they need to share this with other people. And we will see y'all back next Friday night for another live episode of The Play Callers.